Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 5, The Bells.
I'm sorry, was that one of the worst episodes ever? Was that the title?
That was a terrible episode.
I just have to say, there was the episode where they burned Shireen, and you, got up and just had to, go be away from everybody. There was a couple of us here watching at the time, because you were, so upset over it. And I relate to that person so much right now. It's unbelievable of how much they shit the bed here.
Well, so let's start with the high point. I think there was one. And
there were a couple good things. I will say that. There were a couple good things.
The one good thing to me was when Sandor talked to Arya out of becoming like him.
Yep. That was a moment.
I have 26 notes. And
I stopped taking them. Because at one point I was like, I just
There's no point.
Can't even.
But I have 26 notes that I'll ignore almost all of them. But on the bottom I have in caps, only good moment when Sandor stops Arya from being like him.
It was really good acting. I really like how the guy who plays it, I think it's Rory McCann, plays the Hound. He's very paternal here. Paternal in a way that the Hound can be, in a way that Arya would be receptive to at this point.
Yeah.
So she was receptive in different ways before she grew into the Arya that she is from Ned and stuff. But that interaction was very satisfying for me. And it was the best lesson that he could ever teach her, of any of her teachers.
Yeah.
Because basically she starts into this pretty early in season 1, revenge, revenge, revenge. And this is the best lesson, being like, look, if you don't get a handle on this revenge, you will turn out like me, where you are nothing but your revenge, and that's not a life.
Yeah.
And that's his lesson here, and I actually really like that. It's the perfect lesson for Arya, because she's taught by so many different people throughout the series, and not one has given her that lesson until now. And it worked. She listens.
A friendship that actually pays off, and an arc that actually pays off. Oh, good grief. Was there a single satisfying death in this episode? Was there any poetic justice to any of them? Yeah.
You and I could have finished off this series better.
Ugh.
It was so bad. So if anyone liked it and doesn't want to listen to how bad it was, leave now. I don't care if we'll piss you off or whatever. Just go, because this is just going to be us ranting for a while about how they just took an amazing series and literally just flushed it down the toilet.
Let me just say that I've been predicting Dany would do this for as long as I can remember. And I actually have no problem with it. It could have been more subtle. It could have been blah, 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 blah. But that they showed how terrible it is to have a mad Targaryen and a dragon destroying everything, I don't have a problem with, per se. I mean, it was a little sloppy, but oh my God, everything else. God, the Jaime Euron fight was so stupid.
So stupid.
All right, let's just start from the beginning, I guess.
I guess so.
All right, Varys.
He's trying. He's trying. He goes to Jon. He's trying, and he's trying to do what he's always done, according to Varys, the character. He's much different in the books in some respects, but he's trying, and he fails, and that's why they had that scene with that little girl of, the greater the risk, the greater reward. He's basically speaking for himself. That's the writing on the wall for us as an audience for Varys.
Well, I think there's only one important thing to say about what he was doing, and sorry if I cut you off, but he's writing the same letter that Ned wrote to Stannis, and Stannis sent to the realm, because you see him write true heir, come to the throne, something like that. So it's going to get out through Varys sending ravens or whatever he did, that Jon is the true heir.
Maybe he gave it to that little girl.
Right, yeah, that was something important that he did, and news is going to get out that there's someone else to support, and all 7 kingdoms will unite behind Jon now once this letter reaches the realm. It's what should have happened to Stannis is going to happen to Jon, but okay.
Well, and I was kind of surprised by how willing Jon was for Varys to be roasted like that.
Well, so I think it is appropriate to execute someone for treason.
Yeah.
Now, it was a little shady that they did it out in the dark. I thought they were making a point of keeping it a secret from the regular people or whatever.
I agree. It felt a little too clandestine, and and part of it is that I'm just shocked at how everyone's just willing to be like, even though Jon is the rightful heir, let's just pretend that he's not. Because why? That's the part where, like, because no one is having that conversation, it's so frustrating to me.
Well, Varys was having the conversation.
Right, but that can even be something that they can discuss all together. Those are her advisors and all this, but, like, it's shocking to me that everyone just thinks that Dany deserves the throne because of why. And everyone just accepts that it's so, to me, it's a huge plot hole.
And Tyrion is once again the dumbest person on the show. They just want to keep writing him to be wrong, because I thought last episode, I mean, it seemed pretty clear Dany was going to do something crazy, but I was like, well, you know, the fact that Tyrion still believes in her, are they really going to write him to be this dumb shit every episode?
Yes. All our worst fears of things, like, they're never going to talk about the Lord of Light again before this wraps up.
Oh,
we
no.
have one episode left.
I have a theory behind that. My theory why they left so many Lord of Light, Night King stuff loose is because they're making a prequel that's going to be about that. And I think that'll answer some questions, potentially. I think they purposely left it dangling.
Okay.
But,
But, like,
but
all
there
my
is still
things
one more
that I was
episode.
hoping for, though, like, I'm...
Well,
I just... You made a comment. It's just like, why did Varys stay? This is a guy... Self-preservation. He is the best at... The moment he had that conversation with Tyrion in the last episode...
Out.
To me, this goes against his character and everything that we know about him, that he stayed. I don't understand.
Well, when he told Tyrion last episode that he was going to be treasonous, my thought was like, I guess Tyrion owes it to him to let him go. But he's got to go, because he can't just hang around the castle and be treasonous.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah. My far-fetched theory is we need the White Walkers. We need somebody to bring them back to life, because that is the counterbalance to this Fire Gone Mad, the Fire and Ice story. But
it's funny, though. I remember thinking, about the Long Night of like, you know what? That wasn't really the strongest episode. They didn't really handle that well. But to me, it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. And I think it's because a part of me was getting prepared for this. Because now I think the Long Night wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it was really good. Comparatively. We had no idea what was going to happen. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
But, like, all right, goodbye, old friend. That's what they say to each other. I guess if this is how Varys was going to go out, given what we got here. All right. I appreciated that he didn't hold it against Tyrion. That Tyrion was engaged in self-preservation, which is what Varys did during Tyrion's trial.
But that's just what's so stupid, is because it was obvious Tyrion had to do this.
Right. But I at least appreciated that we see him go out and not be angry at Tyrion. Right. So, okay. We see we see the moment where Dany officially chooses fear as her weapon. She looks incredibly unhinged here.
Yeah, she's all disheveled when Tyrion goes to her. Hair is all messed up.
But just even her lack of emotional regulation, it's just like...
Well, so she does have an important line. This is the underlying message, as clunky as it was done, and this is the message it's been for several seasons now. Dany says... something along the lines of we're gonna liberate them from future tyrants. So now there's always these well-intentioned people are always gonna do. There's always some bad thing. Now it's the future. Now it's speculative tyrants, right? So
now she's mad,
right? So they can always justify their nonsense, and I think that's the lesson here. And the first time when it was, I thought 100% sure that the story was going this way, was in season 5 when Dany fed some poor schmuck to her dragons who may or may not have information. I don't know if you remember this scene. She's like, tell me blah, 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 something or other. We had no idea if these people knew it. We had no idea anything. And she's like, eat it. So the dragon eats one of the 3 guys, just random. Hizdahr was there, And I was like, holy shit. So crucifying the masters was terrible. But I guess it kind of sort of makes sense in that these are slave masters and they crucified the children, even though we found out later there was a council against it, yada, yada, yada. But this was like pure cruelty, where she's just like, well, just eat it. I don't know if he knows anything, but whatever. And I've been saying it for years. Dany is going bad. Backstand as well you can.
But you know what's funny? I was so okay with that and still think this is a great story. I think that's where George is taking it,
right.
that he's going to have her go bad. Totally cool with that. Just don't do it in such an obscene way. Like, This was written for people who need it spelled out for them so clearly. It's so black and white. There were no shades of gray. Shades of gray is what makes this and the characters so good.
Right.
And this was just so shoved in your face and down your throat where it's like, okay.
There's multiple levels in that regard. So when she was contemplating doing this, I thought she was going to go and burn out Cersei, go directly after her, even though it was unnecessary, even the bells are ring. But then she starts frying the women and the children. And then Grey Worm starts killing the troops, which even that is not so terrible.
But come on, the Unsullied are trained in such a specific way, and now we see the Unsullied just like all the other soldiers, which it pretty much takes away.
Well, I think these were orders; they had to do it. This is what she planned with Grey Worm.
No, the show creator said that she didn't plan to do this. In that moment, though, she sees King's Landing, and so they kind of say this was a spur of the moment choice.
Uh-huh.
This is Dany and Grey Worm and every single Northman and Dothraki and everybody on that side who just protected all these people from the Night's King, all losing their heads simultaneously. It's like a fever is taking them, and it's a sickness.
But yeah, I don't even mind Grey Worm and the Unsullied killing the troops, but when the Northerners, who we can assume that's who it is, are cutting the throat of the women, and they have talked about how when cities are sacked, this is a theme, right? Like when Tywin Lannister sacked the King's Landing, when Jaime killed the Mad King, it was a terrible thing. All these people were killed, and then when Stannis is going after King's Landing, Cersei's like, "Oh, half these people are going to have babies in their belly by the end of the night." So I get the theme of bloodlust being up, but I mean, they really put it in your face.
But for every single person except for Jon and Davos.
Right.
And Tyrion.
Right.
And so I when this was happening, I just kept looking at you with an open mouth of are you kidding me? It makes what happened in the long night just doesn't matter. None of these people will care about a villain they never saw that sounds like something from the storybooks when these same people came and did this.
Oh yeah, the Night King is going to be a distant memory for anyone that wasn't there. Never to be believed or whatever. And
I just can't believe that many people lost their heads. And again, I can understand this bloodlust thing, but not to this degree. The way Grey Worm now doesn't care at all about anything. He's equally with Dany about just kill them all.
I can buy that. I mean,
I can't.
You got to think why
that devies way too much of years of training as an Unsullied just because he loved Missandei. I'm sorry, no.
No, but he was just following what Dany was doing. His training isn't to be a nice person; it's to slaughter people at any command or whatever.
But it's also to have a certain level of impartiality, and this just shows.
I think if Dany would have stood down, he would have stood down. It was just he was following.
I don't think so, actually.
Well, then what? He's going to get roasted by the dragons if she never went bad?
Yeah, I think he was just gone. They were all just gone.
I think you're interpreting it the wrong way, but regardless. And then Dany is just apparently indiscriminately destroying the city. How many of her own men did she kill? I mean, we clearly see Jon in the line of fire, and running away.
We were talking... how Littlefinger was this guy who he was happy to be king, even if it was the King of Ashes. Well, we got that ruler here. She doesn't care. She'll kill everybody as long as she's Queen of the Ashes.
Well, but that in itself is not a surprise. We knew that for many years, I think, in some sense.
But that she'd be willing to kill her own troops?
Well, I think this was just a directing situation where we don't actually know if she killed her own troops. I think we can deduce that she did. That's certainly the way it looks. But we've known since the visions of her in the throne room where everything's burnt down. We didn't know if she was going to do that, but we knew that it would be destroyed by the time she got there.
Well, and there were two scenes that we got that we've talked about of Brienne touching the weirwood tree and Dany in the House of the Undying. We got them both in this episode. We got a dragon flying over King's Landing, and we got that exact shot just extended here. And we didn't see the throne room. I'm sure we'll see it next episode. But I was saying I thought it was snow, which I still think would have been way better as a story here. But it's ash.
So yesterday I rewatched that scene. Whether it's snow or ash, it certainly looks like Snow in the prophecy. And this could be one of those things where it's going to be Jon Snow. He's going to actually be the winner at the end and take her out, and that's what the prophecy is telling her, But Ash too, because when Arya was walking around at the end, it certainly looked like Snow, Ash, whatever. Oh, geez. All right.
All right. Where do we pick up here?
Well,
everybody went crazy.
Yeah, we don't even have to do a play-by-play.
No, one thing I did like as well. So there were like two big moments, and one that I really liked was the Lannister boys. Tyrion and Jaime switched roles, and Tyrion risks his life to save Jaime the same way Jaime risked his to save Tyrion. And Tyrion basically says, "Hey, I'm only here because of you. My whole life, you're the only person who ever loved me." And there's this really beautiful moment between them where I think they both know they're never going to see each other again, that they're either both going to die or at least one of them's going to die. And this is kind of that moment. And there was just a lot of brotherly love. And I remember just thinking, man, if the two Lannister men helped save millions of people, what a great story.
Right. But
no, you know what?
Jaime was worthless. And
they
and I agree.
So many missed opportunities.
I agree that was a good scene, but it was so surrounded by illogic. Tyrion has the key, and he's going to let him go and hope Dany doesn't notice until a future time. Just the logistics of it were really dumb. Just like the logistics of Arya and the Hound telling some soldier.
Yeah, it's all...
Was that a Lannister soldier? Was that a Stark soldier? Who were they telling? And
no, it was one of their own.
Because they got let into King's Landing, or at least to the Red Keep or whatever. But I agree that was, I guess, a touching scene and a nice goodbye.
I thought it was great setup for something that was going to be poetic.
Right, Jaime...
like something like Tyrion sets this plan in motion to save millions. He needs his brother to do it. We see Jaime make a choice between Cersei or ringing the bells. He goes and rings the bells. Like, that seemed like a great story. Like, here it's actually a Lannister who's actually saving the city.
Right. Jaime would have been for the second time.
Right? Which, to me, would have been full circle. That's where I thought they were going with it. Of, like, he killed the Mad King because he was going to kill them all. And here Cersei's doing that via Dany. And I thought, like, oh, wait, maybe they're going to, like, bring us there. That's so awesome. No.
And Euron. Oh, so stupid.
He's like a caricature.
The only good thing about Euron, I do like his pirate outfit. But, oh, God, that fight. Like, Jaime's sneaking up and Euron comes out of nowhere. And they have this stupid fight that was utterly...
The Iron Fleet was decimated in, like, 2 seconds.
Yeah. Right. Well, and that just goes to show... So Dany takes out all the scorpions in the city and the ships, which means she could have done that last episode too.
Yeah.
When Viserion was taken out.
So I like last episode I said I thought dragons were like nuclear weapons, and here they're like C4. Well, now they're nuclear weapons again. Where is the consistency here? How come she couldn't go crazy after her dragon died and take them out then?
And seeing the dragon go nuclear was, I guess, cool in its own regard. But yeah, so we do see why the dragons have that reputation, the way they took out Harrenhal and everything.
But like, here's the thing. Like, last episode, they take out Rhaegal, and then we're just supposed to believe that Dany just lands Drogon and Euron sails away?
Right, yep.
And then this happens?
She went back to Dragonstone to think about life for a little bit.
I'm so
I guess
confused.
They had to wait for the Northerners to go up the King's Road and meet up with them. But the Northerners, there was no point in even bringing the army because she could have done it all herself. Yeah. I mean, they had the stupid Harry Strickland Golden Company.
Pointless. That guy had a very small role.
Unless the Iron Bank somehow appears in the last episode, I don't see any point in the Golden Company existing.
Yeah.
It could have just been the Lannister troops and had the same. Except they wanted to trick us into thinking it was kind of an even match.
So I feel like I just was duped so much in terms of they set this up that Cersei had a chance, when all along she didn't.
Yeah.
And it feels like a trick.
Yeah, so...
and like, I was just trying to understand, too, of like, when Tyrion goes to Davos, why do you think Davos helped Tyrion? Because that's a ballsy move.
Yeah, Davos just does whatever the show writers need him to do to support the people he like.
I'll just have to interpret that as that he sees Dany is a problem too, and maybe this is a way to give them options, even though releasing Jaime did absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, it did. I mean, yeah. Even ringing the bells had nothing to do with Jaime.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, Tyrion and Davos risked their lives for nothing.
Yeah. Jaime and Cersei's death was stupid. Harry Strickland's death was stupid. Varys' death was... I thought that was okay.
Jaime wouldn't have stood a chance against Euron. I just kept thinking that. Like,
yeah,
maybe
especially after he got stabbed twice and then still got the jump on Euron.
And then is walking around like...
Yeah. And then, Qyburn's death was stupid.
So I don't mind that he was killed, like that basically that Dr. Frankenstein was killed by his monster. Too, yeah. I think it's poetic, but it was done by a preschooler here. Like a preschooler wrote this and how that was done, so okay. Right,
so the mountain has some... I mean, he disobeys them, so it shows that he has something. And then whatever we speculated about Qyburn's obsession with the dead, like in that season 6 when he picked up the White's hand and was looking at it, well, that didn't matter. That was just a pointless scene. Ugh, and then the fight with the Hound. Even that was so stupid.
It was bad.
So as soon as the mountain is protecting Cersei from falling ceiling, blocking it with his back, I've been saying for many episodes, many seasons now, that Hound doesn't stand a chance. But then the fight happens. I'm still not convinced. They didn't sell the fight to me very well. And then when the fight actually happened, it was anticlimactic. And then they think in the interview with the showrunners at the end that there's some kind of poetic justice or something that the Hound was killed by fire because he pushed the mountain down. It's not like he could have done anything else, or it's not like the fire was close to him. He didn't have to confront fire to like save Arya or do something like that. It was just, if there was no fire, they would have fallen out the building and had...
Right. It was so bad.
Let's see.
And then when he started doing like the Oberon death thing, I was like, oh god.
Oh yeah, when he's poking him in the eyes, yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ. I don't even know what else to say.
I found Jaime and Cersei's death so incredibly dissatisfying.
It's like they thought that they made all this like Shakespearean poetic justice by having them die together by a bunch of rocks falling on them. It would have been more satisfying if she poisoned herself on the Iron Throne.
Correct.
Like she was going to in the Battle of Blackwater. And Jaime does it too, whatever, something like that.
Yep. I kept thinking, things had gotten so bad, and they're down there, and I'm like, all right, Jaime, kill her. I literally was waiting for every moment, and I was just so surprised when he didn't, like
well, there's no point to kill her.
Even out of, like, at some point I was like okay, he really is going after her. Everything I said last episode, I was wrong. I was way off. And he is just trying to get back to her. And that's it.
I didn't mind that. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I kind of expected it.
But it just means that his whole arc really was for nothing.
Well, what's funny, too, is that he went all the way up north.
For what?
To fight the Night King. He contributed almost nothing to the battle.
Like, why did he have to sleep with Brienne?
Right, yeah.
He could have just been kind to her and gone up there and fought next to her, knighted her. All of that could have been the same. But the fact that they made that happen between them, and then he leaves and literally just is going back to Cersei, that was bad. I thought out of an act of mercy, so that she didn't have to die some potentially horrible long death,
right,
that he would snap her neck. Or send a knife into her out of love, but also like, this is the end. The same way she would have killed Tommen with poison. Yeah. I was waiting for it. And that would have been a much better death. But this was just the most pathetic thing I've ever seen.
I think double suicide would have been the best call there, but hey.
And apparently the whole Valonqar thing doesn't exist in the show.
Right, yeah. So for non-book readers, the Valonqar is part of the prophecy when Cersei's told that her 3 kids are going to die, she's also told that the Valonqar will kill her. And Valonqar in High Valyrian translates to little brother. And there's speculation of if that meant Tyrion or Jaime or possibly somebody else's little brother. But nope, just meant a bunch of rocks. And Dany, it's not in the show, so obviously it doesn't mean anything for the books. But
like, did they just dispense with every little thing they could have gone with?
Yeah, I mean, we're really going to see that Dan and Dave, they just...
didn't know what the heck they were doing.
The Emperor has no clothes, is that the appropriate saying?
I don't know. They were given keys to a Ferrari, and they just decided to douse it in kerosene and light it on fire.
Well, so there's one more episode to turn things around.
And you know what's going to happen? John is going to kill Dany, and I don't even care anymore.
Yeah. That's got to be how it ends. John kills Dany, or they both die.
Yeah.
But I do think Vari's letter will unite the Seven Kingdoms against Dany, I guess. And then the Dothraki, I mean, these foreigners sure do look like a foreign invading terrible army. Just like everyone, just like the Tarleys were worried about and everything. Like, seeing the Dothraki chop people up. It's...
I don't know how they can possibly wrap this up in one more episode.
Maybe there's still time. Maybe there's still going to be a time travel reset. We know Bran can interact with the past to some degree
because of Hodor.
And he also yells "father," and Ned hears him in the past when he sees Ned kill Arthur Dayne. For what?
I remember the eve before the last Harry Potter book came out, and I just remember being, please don't ruin this series for me.
Yeah.
Please, I love it so much, please don't ruin it. And then I remember staying up all night and reading the book and being like, that was amazing. That was great. And there's a lot of things where, like, I really liked a lot of the choices she made. And this is what it feels like when it doesn't go that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people had mentioned, by a lot of people I mean two, asked me why we didn't talk about the Starbucks cup more, and it's like, I don't care.
Right.
I know some people take it as like that the show creators just don't care so much anymore that they can't even notice a cup or anything like that. I don't care. It's inconsequential. Doesn't matter.
Well, isn't there a car in the background of a Lord of the Rings movie? Shit happens,
right?
You know,
but that's why we didn't talk about it more, is because I honestly it didn't register much for me. Like, yep, they made a mistake. I care a lot more about the writing, for reasons like this. I have no idea how the world is reacting to this. I haven't looked at anything. I don't know. I'm just pretty sure that I could wake up tomorrow and there's just going to be so many articles of like, wow, this series jumped the shark completely.
Yeah, it's going to be rotten on the tomato.
This might be what, like, this deserves to be the worst episode.
We talked about this on a bonus episode, but if there was a jump the shark moment for the show, it was when they killed Barristan Selmy, and then they've been doing bizarre things ever since. But there's still been something special about it, where you're wondering, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And we have been wondering if Dany was going to do this. We're not surprised. We've been talking about it for years. But, oh, God, just... Again, I don't mind that Dany did this. It's all the other stuff that was so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like you said, not a single death. And I don't feel satisfied with any death here. I'm so put off by how the Northern Army acted.
Yeah.
This was written in a way where they just wanted to make sure that not a single person alive could miss the fact that Dany went bad.
Yeah, right. In case you're still rooting for her, we're just going to make sure you can't at all. Well, all right. Well, good luck, John, I guess. Anything else we should say about this? I mean, let's put it this way: is there any way they could remedy this? Do you think? Let's say you were handed this.
This is done. I take back everything I said. I said they had me until the end. No, I'm out now. I will watch next week and just see how they can try and, like, Febreze or, aerosol some of the stink that they have from this. But nope, I'm out. This is bad.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way they can remedy it. I don't want to see a time travel reset, because that would be dumb. I don't want to... I mean, John killing Dany's got to be what happens, I guess. But
yeah, she's got to go.
Or not. I mean, it doesn't have to be a happy ending, but... well, sorry for the downer episode. But it's the truth. It was shit.
It was so bad.
It was shit. Well, we will be back for next week.
And maybe we'll do another half one like we did for the long night, where
maybe we'll sleep on it.
Maybe I need to sleep on it and come back. I'm pretty sure that not a whole lot will change. I just might be able to formulate my thoughts and the pitch of my voice a little bit better.
Well, think about, we've watched every episode 2 to 3 times. We've podcasted about it. We've read the books. We're not uber nerds, but we're pretty damn close. I mean, I've listened to some Game of Thrones podcasts where they're way, way invested.
Yeah, there's some people who know way more.
But we're pretty damn invested for the last 8 or 10 years, however long it's been on. And it's like, Ugh.
Like,
Ugh.
that noise. I think it's just collectively being heard around the world.
I hope so. It's gonna be funny if I turn around and people are like, that was so amazing. Some people did like The Long Night, but I think they're just fanboys who like seeing Arya, go. But well, all right. Thank you for those who listen. We'll see you next week. Maybe we'll do a bonus in between.